Good day. My name is Zarifwa Shakarjan, and I'm an English teacher of Urgench State University. In our today's video lesson, we will talk about teaching creativity and teaching for creativity. Okay, let's start. Okay, so what's creativity? At first, let me give you a definition of this word. It's the application of knowledge and skills in new ways to achieve various outcomes. And the second definition is imaginative activity fashioned so as to produce outcomes that are both original and of value. So it means like creativity, it is the way of, it can be a method. Let me take it as a method, and it's used to achieve various outcomes. Yeah, the different outcomes with the comparison to other classical methods. So features of creativity. So in the features of creativity, we will talk about using imagination, pursuing purposes, being original, and judging values. Creative teaching. So we define creative teaching in two ways. So as you see, there are two ways to define creative teaching. Teaching creativity, teaching creatively and teaching for creativity, yeah? So please, the different things, yeah? Don't confuse them, please. Teaching creatively and teaching for creativity, yeah? Of course, when you teach your students creatively using creative methods, teaching methods, your students are already teaching for creativity. Tasks in teaching for creativity can be like encouraging, identifying, and fostering. So what is encouraging? Let me give you the brief information. It's highly creative people in any field are often driven by strong self-belief in one's abilities in that field. Having a positive self-image as a creative person can be fundamental to developing creative performance. So it means like encouraging. What is identifying? Identifying means creative achievement is often driven by a person's love of a particular instrument, for the feel of the material, for the excitement of the style of work that catch the imagination. Yeah. And of course, identifying young people's creative abilities include helping them to find their creative strengths. So it means while teaching your pupils, you should help them to identify their creative skills, like in which way they are creative. So as you know, all people are unique. That's why, so if you use, the one method in order to and you think that it's so creative, no, it's the teacher's, huge mistake. So the next thing is it is the continuation of identifying. So of course, recognizing and becoming knowledgeable about the creative process can also help foster creative development. Teaching for creativity helps young people in understanding what is involved in being creative and becoming more sensitive in their own creative process. Teaching for creativity aims at encouraging autonomy and authenticity. Or autonomy, like on both sides, it's kind of feeling of ownership and control over the ideas that are being offered. So what about the latter one? It's the initiatives and responses, deciding for oneself on the basis of one's own judgment. Third, It's kind of openness, fourth is respect, and the last one is fulfillment. So in this page, the last one, I mean fulfillment. So openness like to new and unusual ideas and to a variety of methods and approach. It means like you should be open to new things, yeah, to accept them, to receive them, and to use them in an appropriate, I mean, in a different way than other people. So respect for each other and for the ideas that emerge. So of course you should respect the others' ideas, others' methods of teaching styles. And the fulfillment is about from each a feeling of anticipation, satisfaction, involvement, and enjoyment of the creative relationship. So in the fulfillment, as you see, there are the combinations of several terms. So it's a little bit like complicated in comparison to others. So trust. So what is trust? So you can think that, well, what can be like trust? What is the difference? I mean, what's the similarity or of trust in this case? So above all, there has to be a relationship of trust. Teaching for creativity aims to encourage self-confidence. So it means like in order to teach for creativity, you should be self-confident person. You shouldn't worry about anything. Yeah. So independence of mind. Only you should use your mind, not other people's like, oh my God, because Michael used it and I will use it. No, you will only use your own ideas and the capacity to think for oneself. Yeah. And the aim is to enable young people to be more effective in handling future problems and objectives, to deepen and broaden awareness of the self as well as the world, and to encourage openness as creative like learners. So if you use these kind of terms, I mean these kind of the things, you will be ready to teach creatively and teach for creativity. Yeah. Okay, and we will talk about with self-directed learning. So what is self-directed learning? It's a teaching for creativity, encourages a sense of responsibility for learning, and it aims at a growing autonomy involving goal setting and planning and the capacity for self-monitoring, self-assessment, and self-management. So self. You can see in the self-directed learning, let me repeat them. Self goal setting, self planning, self monitoring, and self assessment with the self management. If you own all these skills, you will be a creative teacher or a creative learner. Creativity itself is a mode of learning. It's distinctive in the combination of three features. Let's let's see these three features. The first one is involves a thoughtful playfulness, learning through experimental play. It's serious play, conjuring up, exploring, and developing possibilities, and then critically evaluating and testing them. Next one is a special flexibility in which there may be a conscious attempt to challenge the assumptions and preconceptions of the self. So an unusual activity is which there is an active effort to unlearn in order to learn afresh. And the last one is a process which is driven by the find, introduce, construction, or reconstruction something new. So it means like here you can use the new ways of introducing, conducting the lessons, or reconstructing and of course reconstructing them. It seeks actively to expand the possibilities of any situation. In this sense, the learning of creative thoughts is not neutral, so it's a bias towards the innovative. Okay, let's talk about the tips for building creative learning. So they are, let's start from the from the easiest one. So start simply, build progressively. So you can find easiest in order to learn the creative learning, and you can start it with the classroom environment. You can like sit in circle and create your own stories. Yeah, so if you take as an example one story. Okay, let me give you an example as a real life example, real classroom example. I can say that I let my students to sit in circles, and I will start telling one story. So for example, the happiest story or the happiest event in your life, and I will start with my event, and I will let them continue with their, yeah, and it is so fun, I can say that. So Scriven and Powell define critical thinking as the intellectually disciplined process of actively and skillfully conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, evaluating information gathered from or generated by observation, experience, reflection, reasoning, or communication as a guide to belief and action. So, highlighting self awareness includes the perceptions, assumptions, prejudice, values, breaking habits, and new point of views, and of course, evaluations. So, in this case, people need to be solely engaged with their own learning and provided with plenty of opportunity to practice their skills, talk about their learning experiences, reflect on their strengths and of course weaknesses at the same time, and be actively involved in evaluating their own development. So it means like every single person should know to evaluate their own skills. So as you know, it is a little bit difficult to own yourself as than other people. So for example, when your teacher says like, please, Daniel, you can give evaluation, please evaluate the javelin's work, you can easily evaluate them like 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5. But when it comes to you, you cannot evaluate yourself because it's a little bit difficult. And of course, if you have like self confidence, self assess, you can self assessment, I wanted to say, you can easily evaluate yourself. So, thank you for your attention. So, if you have questions, you can ask them. I'm ready. I'm open to answer them. I'm so sorry, but let me add the last thing, the last and the most useful things, implications for classroom teaching. So there are 7 implications for classroom teaching. Set open-ended challenges, make thinking important, make thinking explicit, ask rich questions, enable collaborative learning, promote self-management, make connections across contexts. So even you can do a screenshot of this page because it is so handy. Goodbye.